Hello everyone, we're back here with another interesting game, playing against a 2012 player. So we have a Sicilian defense already. Let's play... Okay, I think I played e6 in the last couple of games that I've played in the Sicilian defense. So let's go for something a bit different with d6. So I'm hoping to get the Najdorf Sicilian. Yes, so now the move a6 emphasizes the Najdorf defense. Now black is controlling this square. Okay, white played f3, so he's ready to play some aggressive English attack. Okay. So here basically I have a choice between playing e6 or e5. I've actually analyzed and played both moves in my career. It's really a matter of taste whether you want to put your pawn on e5 when you create a bit more weaknesses in your position, or you want to play a more kind of elegant, solid position with e6. Let's try to play e6. I think the move e6 looks modest, but it's actually a very aggressive move. So now this pawn takes control of these important squares in the center, and in this way I'm not allowing any of his knights to get into the center. And later on black is trying to create some counterplay with b5. Now he played his bishop to g5, which looks like a natural move, but it's actually quite uncommon because usually white is placing his bishop on e3 rather. So the bishop on g5 is pinning my knight, but I'm not too worried about it. I have a lot of good ways to deal with it. I can develop my knight to d7 if I want. I can also always put my bishop on e7. So I can do anything. Let's play knight e7. This is a very useful move in this type of position, reinforcing the knight on f6, and in some cases I have some possibilities to jump with my knights to all kinds of places. Yes, and now my counterplay is based on this move b5, but I actually want to set a small trap for him. I will play h6. So now the obvious move would be bishop to h4, but then I have something up my sleeve. So I think white actually needs to play bishop to e3 and kind of going back into a usual English attack position. So yeah, that's what it did. But now I think we just get a very theoretical position, only with a tempo up for black, because I have my pawn on h6 already instead of h7, and it's actually very useful for me, because later on white's attack is based on moving his pawn to g4 and h4 and trying to attack me with the pawn on g5. And actually the fact that my pawn is already on h6 covering the square on g5 could be very useful for me in all kinds of variations. So I'm quite happy about my position. Now my counterplay, yes, he played a3. So I wanted to say that black's counterplay is connected with playing on the queen side. So he played a3, kind of preventing my b4 move. So let's see. For now I'm just developing the pieces, perhaps preparing some rook c8 on the next move. I played bishop e2. So this is not a bad move, but it's a bit inconsistent with with white's previous moves, because white got himself set up for long castle, and now he's suddenly playing a move on the king side, perhaps preparing short castle, but this is perhaps not so dangerous for me. So now I'm thinking about two options. So first of all, I can just develop a piece. So a move like rook c8 comes to mind, putting the rook on the open file. Also bishop e7 is very sensible. But another interesting option for me is actually to kind of try to punish white for his a bit slow moves by breaking in the center immediately with d5. So I'm quite tempted to play d5. Let's see if I'm really ready for it. So generally in all kinds of Sicilian defenses, black is very much keen to get this kind of pawn break in the center because it's releasing all of his pieces to the game. But I can also do it on later stage of the game when I will be perhaps more prepared for it. So I think for now let's just develop pieces like in the most simple way in a sense. So I just want to castle on the next move perhaps, and once again just keep my development going. White's really most dangerous or most principled plan would be to castle long, but now that he played this move bishop e2, so yeah, he is probably hinting at castling short. So now we've both castled. Please notice that I've seen a lot of people who are very much afraid in such positions of such sacrifices like bishop takes pawn on h6, followed by queen takes bishop with with the idea to attack the black king. But in this case it's really not dangerous. White has no pieces in the attack, so I don't even bother to calculate the consequences of this. So he's just developing his rook to d1. I'm putting my queen on the game on c7. So now this is a kind of a very typical position for the Sicilian defense. White having some slightly more control in the center with his pawn on e4, but black's pieces are quite comfortable, and once again I'm seeking for this d5 break in the center, perhaps even on the next move, or I can also first finish my development of pieces. I want to put my rooks on c8 and the other one probably on d8. And actually for white I must say that it's slightly more difficult to find a plan in my opinion, because okay, he put his rook on d1, this is sensible, it's on the open file, but let's say the rook on a1, it's not so clear where it really wants to be. So he played knight b3. This is a move that black generally is quite happy to see. Now the knight is going away from the center, but he is opening up his queen to put pressure on my pawn on d5. Okay, so now I think I want to develop my rook. Let's play rook d8. Now I'm putting my rook in the opposition to the white's queen. So if I ever manage to break up in the center with d5, the rook could actually be quite annoying for the white's queen. So he's playing rook c1, once again just developing his pieces, but the rook on c1 is quite clumsy, he's blocked by his own pawn. So I'm not too afraid of this. So let's also develop a piece, rook c8. Now my rook on c8 is much more sensible, is situated on the open file. And my rook on d8, to my eyes, is much more likely to be useful for me, because when I will be breaking the center with d5, the rook would be already being behind the open file. So I really like my position here. And white doesn't appear to have a very good way of stopping me from playing d5. He played this move bishop f1, which is a kind of a prophylactic move, but I think everything is kind of set and ready for me to play d5, so I think I will just do it. Now when all of my pieces are developed, I think it's a good time to break in the center. Once again, I must emphasize that probably I could even do it kind of earlier in the game, very possibly, but I kind of like to do it only when I got all of my pieces developed, finished my development, and only then proceeding with the breaking in the center. So now, what I've said earlier, now the pawns exchange on the E and the D file. Now my rook is very active, looking at the black queen. And now I think if he wants to be safe and not to get into too much trouble, yeah, that's what I wanted to say, that he should move his queen, because it's not too healthy to put your queen in the opposition to the enemy rook. Okay, so now I played queen f2. There is no threat from white that I can see, and I have some nice choices here. All of my pieces are well coordinated here. I like also to find a good square for this bishop, so I think this move bishop f6 is quite nice. Yeah, let's play bishop f6. So my idea is quite simple. I want to attack the pawn on b2, and it's a bit awkward for white to defend this pawn because he cannot play his pawn to c3, because then the knight would hang on b3. And he also cannot play rook to b1 to protect the pawn, because then I will grab this pawn on c2. So probably what white should do here is to play a move like bishop d4 in order to block my bishop from coming to b2. But then I might consider, yeah, okay, he played his knight on d4. This is also sensible. So now I think it's a good time to find a square for my knight on d7. So I'm thinking about knight b6, followed by either knight c4 or knight a4. Yeah, but now that when I think about it, the knight on b6 might have some tactical problems connecting to this battery of queen and bishop on this diagonal. Yeah, so let's think about it for one moment. So probably knight b6 is not too clever. I could consider also knight to c5. This is perhaps slightly safer. Or knight e5 with the idea knight c4. I think that's probably what I will do. Even though knight to c5 is also tempting, but time is ticking, so let's just choose one of them. I think both are quite good. So now I really like my pieces. My bishops are well situated in the center of the board, kind of looking in all kinds of directions. And now once my knight will also take himself a good square, I think I will also already start to think about some sort of attack on him. And also you see this pawn on b2 is slightly weak, so I really want to put pressure on him. Now I play bishop f4, pinning my knight. So let's check whether this move knight takes f3 is possible. I have this feeling it does work, but this is something that must be calculated. So I take the knight on f3. He discovered the attack on the bishop. He takes with the queen. I take his queen. He takes my queen. At the end of the day, it seems like I left with the more material. But let's check once again, not to make any stupid mistakes. So now the bishop on f4 is hanging, so this fact kind of immediately came to my head that I should search for ways to exploit the fact that the bishop is hanging. So knight takes f3. Now I'm almost sure that this is working in my favor, but we shall see. Maybe I missed something. At the moment I think it's quite good. So he just took with the pawn, but here he just lost the pawn, and it's even more than a pawn. He completely ruined his position. Now that the pawn on g2 is missing, his king position is extremely compromised, and my bishops are once again extremely strong in the middle of the board. So I would regard to this position as just losing for white. He has less material and his position is very bad. So he attacks my queen, but I think I can just grab another pawn. I'm also threatening checkmate on h1. So now it's already 2 pawns up. I wonder if this is a good time for my opponent to resign. But obviously, as we remember from past experience, people don't like to resign on this side. So I played bishop g2, so I think I will just exchange everything. And I will just take another pawn on b2. Now it's already 3 pawns up. Perhaps I will also take the pawn on a3 on the next move. So it actually would be 4 pawns. And 4 pawns are really a huge deal already. If 2 pawns or... okay, I think I'm about to be... Okay, now I'm 4 pawns up. I think I'm going to be 5 pawns up on the next move. This is a bit funny actually. I don't remember the last time that I had an advantage of 5 pawns. Of course, it's always important to keep in mind that you don't get checkmated on the back rank, but of course with my pawn being on h6 I have no such problems. 5 pawns up. You know, I'm even not used to being so much material up. I mean, I used to people resigning way before this. I think I will just give him 1 pawn just for fun. I really don't need so many pawns. Let's just advance the b pawn. Now this pawn will very likely promote, or at least it will be a very big source of headaches for white. Now I'm threatening rook c1 check. So yeah, he played this move king f2, but let's just advance the other pawn. Now yeah, just for fun, let's take the knight, even though I can immediately play bishop b4 with the idea to block the rook, but this is perhaps more fun. Let's take the knight. Yeah, now white can, if before this the fact that he had 5 pawns down did not lead him to resign, being a queen down, perhaps it's a good time. I think I will also take this rook on b7 as a dessert. Yeah, he keeps playing. Sure, why not? Let's play. Let's play, why not? So yeah, white decided to play until he got checkmated. So he written, thanks for the game. I've never played and I am before. So, congratulations to my opponent. He played a solid game. Let's see if I've got anything wrong in the opening. I think in general this game was not too difficult. I just kind of played according to the plan, and yeah, I could already play d5 at this point, but I think the way I played is also sensible enough. And yeah, what you see, even the computer agrees that once I got this d5 pawn break in the center, black is already much better. My pieces are just much better coordinated than the white one. And after this, yeah, I think I kept my advantage throughout the game. Yeah, knight takes f3, I think this is the kind of critical moment. Let's see if queen takes f3 saves him. So I saw bishop takes queen. He takes my queen on c7. I take his rook, he takes my rook, and here, this is what I saw in advance, that I have this intermediate check on d4. The king must move. So this is already material equality, so when you calculate such a variation in your head, you don't move on, so you just, at least for me, this is the way it's working. I just saying to myself, okay, if I'm not any material down, I think I even have one pawn up, so I will just go for it. And yeah, even I can take another pawn on c2 and then even one more pawn on b2. So yeah, black is completely winning. And after white played this move, g takes f3, this position is already completely lost. Yeah, computer regards this position as -5 for black, means that black has an advantage of almost like more than a rook. So yeah, should be quite enough to win. So thank you for watching, see you next time.